Hello, welcome back. In this video, let us learn about uppotting a curry leaf plant. When do you know that it is time to uppot a curry leaf plant? For me, in many situations, because I grow my plants in the compost, the soil shrinks down to half the size of a pot and the roots are out, and this is definitely something that I don't want in the winters. But the best thing is, as I started working on it, I also saw that they're beautiful white roots, which means the plant is super healthy, and of course you can tell by the leaves and how good the plant is looking. So we have already learned on how to uppot or say replenish the soil, keeping the pot size the same, and we have done that for the jasmine plant that we are seeing right there, and I'll link the video in the description below if the plant is bigger on how to do it. But this is a plant which is not as big, and you can definitely pull it out of the pot and you usually change the soil and fill it back up into the same pot. And let's go ahead and see how we can do that. The most important thing is, if you have any plants where the roots are exposed, this is something that we do not want to leave the plant as is in winters. If you cannot change the soil, it is still fine, but you have to make sure to cover up at least the roots until here. So you have to fill up the soil until the first root that you see, and it should still be good. But by doing uppotting the plant now, depending on the size of the plant, and this plant has been sitting in this pot for the last maybe 7 to 8 months, I would say, I'm sure the plant roots must be root bound. So this is our key to say yes, we should go ahead and change the soil. Another thing is, we should never, because the plant is big, never go ahead and fill up the soil until here. Make sure the soil is not covering the stem, because it will tend to the stem will start rotting once the moisture touches the stem, and that's definitely not okay. So we have to make sure to get this plant out as gently as possible, and then fill up starting from the base of the pot. And my ideal situation would be here would be to get this part until the top of the pot, and eventually the soil will again settle down. Let's go ahead and start the process. So the pots being lighter, I'll just topple the pot as such, and because I wanted to change all of my curry leaf, the soil in the curry leaf plants for the winter, I stopped watering this plant for the last 2 days. So the soil should be nice and loose, and all we have to do is, this is nice and loose already. I can hear the soil, which means it's already loosened up. Like you can see that it's already loosened up. If it is not, you can still tap under the pot, hit on all the sides and move it, and all you have to do is try your best to gently pull out the plant, making sure the root ball is intact. I hope this is moving the same way. This is just perfect. I think it's all intact. Make sure to not break the root ball, or if you hear the roots popping out, I would just say stop and make sure to try to get as much root ball out as possible together with the soil. Oh, this is just so perfect. Look at that. Oh, this is just so perfect. And there we go. This is a great example of how the root ball is root bound. But the good thing that I see here is there are a lot of roots with this little white tips. There we go, which means the root is very nice and healthy. One tip here, whenever we buy plants from a nursery or a big box store, we have to make sure, once you open up the pot as like this, if you see that there are these white roots too, it means the plant is really healthy. If you only see this brown part all wind up all along the pot, then definitely you have to tease the roots. We have to tease the roots as much as we can, break them a little bit, and then plant the plant. This is just an ideal example of how these are the older roots, these are the new roots. And let's go ahead and start understanding on how to fill this pot up now. So now I'm going to just use up the same pot to repot this plant, but to the top. So I do have some twigs and stems that are laying around. So I'm going to use this to lay inside the pot just to give it a structure. I'm just going to break them apart into half and just cover the bottom. There we go, just like that. This is just going to help with some drainage for the pot, and to make sure that the soil is not just going out of those big drain holes. If you don't have the dry stems or twigs, you can go ahead and use wood chips or some gravel or small stones or little marbles or whatever, just like about an inch underneath there. What are we going to do next? For this plant, because the root is really healthy, I just want to go ahead and fill up the entire pot with really good soil. And here, if I have something handy, then I would go and fill up half the pot with leaf mold, which is an extremely good source of nutrition for the plant. Now that I don't have it handy, but I do have a lot of compost handy. But what if we don't have compost, right? In those situations, this is what exactly I use. I use topsoil and steer manure in equal proportions. In this situation, I do have some compost also handy. So I'm just going to go ahead and layer this, like a little bit of topsoil, a little bit of compost, and a little bit of steer manure. Again, some topsoil, some compost, and steer manure. You can definitely skip this if you don't have it handy. It's completely okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop the compost in there, just like that. Cover it up, and I'm just going to do the same. I'm going to collect the topsoil into this pot and steer manure into this pot, so it's equal proportions, just like that. Because I know how much soil that pot takes. There we go. That's some topsoil, and there goes a good portion of steer manure. The steer manure is looking very nice and rich and completely decomposed. So this is just so perfect. So how much soil am I going to fill? I'm going to fill the soil, leaving this much of space for the plant to sit on the top, because this is going to completely sit on the top of the pot. So I think it will take a little bit of more soil. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the rest of the compost. Perfect. This is perfect. There we go. So now I'm going to take the plant, nice and good, and put it in there. I'm going to readjust this a little bit. I removed a little bit of soil just to make sure I'll be able to cover the roots too. So there we go, just like that. So I'm going to fill up the soil until the first root. So I just removed a little bit of more soil and started making sure that the root comes in alignment with the top of the pot. So that's the first root we are seeing. We need this for sure to go inside the soil. So I'm just going to readjust the plant again, fill up until the root, and then get back. So finally, there we go. That's the roots are completely covered. This is sitting a little above the surface of the pot, which is still fine because the soil is going to adjust a little bit. And all through the process of putting in the soil, I just kept shaking the pot that way to make sure and giving it a loosening up the soil, making sure all the soil is not having any air pockets. And this plant is little top heavy on the other side, so I'm just going to give it a little support, a twig, and tie it up like that, and come back in 2 days. I'll just make sure to mulch it with some leaves that have been I started collecting this fall, and I'll just give it a little bit of support and then come back. So there we go. Finally, the plant has been uppotted. I still see some of the roots sitting out, so I'm going to readjust that, tap it a little bit, shake the pot, let the soil settle in, and fill up to make sure that the roots are not exposed at all. So like I said, within 2 to 3 days or maybe within a week, the soil will settle in a little bit more. I'm going to mulch it and I'm going to give it water now, and it's all potted up. This is good to go for the next 1 year, or you see the need to really replenish the soil again, just like we did for that plant. We are done potting up in the same pot. Happy to go. It's good for winter. You can leave it outdoors and all set. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this information is useful to you. Happy gardening.